Hey, my name's ShawNshawN. I sell art on ShawNshawN.co. Today we're going to review Thor, Love and Thunder. So this is directed by Taika Waititi. He's New Zealand and his parents are Jewish. So a very interesting combination. Time is in 1 hour, 59 minutes. So pretty well tightly edited for a Marvel film. They tend to go to 2.5 hours. So it's nice that they've got it under 2. Actors are Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Natalie Portman plays Jane Foster. Christian Bale plays Gorr. Tess Thompson plays King Valkyrie. Taika Waititi plays Korg. Crowe plays Zeus. Pratt plays Star-Lord. So the story begins with Gorr and his daughter. They're kind of dying in the desert. They're the last of their people. And he's making a prayer to his local god to save them. Then she dies, and then he goes to the local guards like, why didn't you save her? It's like, oh, we're never going to save her. What are you talking about? We don't save anyone. Very cruel. And so Gorr gets really mad, and this magical sword appears and he kills this local god, right? And then he makes him his mission in life to go kill all the gods. So then fast forward to Thor. He finds about these other gods being killed off planet by planet. And he's like, oh my god, we got to do something. And so he says goodbye to the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he forms up with kind of the Thor universe people, and they go off to fight Gorr. So one thing you notice right off the bat, which is kind of in the background, but it's definitely very noticeable, is it's very woke in the politics of the storyline, which probably deeply conservative people will probably find out about this. They probably don't want to go. So they have kind of gay parent superheroes, which is kind of weird. Like two gay guys hold hands and then they form another person. So that's pretty interesting. You're like, what are you talking about? You know, that doesn't even make biological sense, but it's a magical universe, so you can do what you want. Also, two of the Vikings are lesbian lovers, but obviously they don't show the sex scenes or anything, but you have that suggestion in the background. Neither of those have to do anything with the plot point, so you're like, why do you mention it if there's nothing to do with the plot point? It's kind of just spoken just to be spoken. So, I don't know, I just think that's stupid. You're throwing out dollars on something that isn't going to end up doing anything. You're going to be probably heavily edited down in the Middle East, which isn't a big market, probably in China as well. Other conservative markets like Russia would have been probably edit this down, although Russia probably just be banned at this point. But you're going to have a lot of conservative markets are going to just ban this or heavily edit this film later in the foreign markets. So I don't think that was really smart because there's nothing to do with the plot, right? The humor in the film is a bit off. I think, I really like this director in Jojo Rabbit. He's really spectacular in that particular film. But the humor just seems off in this film. I'm not sure why. Just some of the jokes don't land, or I think it has to do with the characters not taking their universe seriously. They're kind of making fun. It's almost like they're phoning it in, but they're not phoning it in kind of thing. So it's just kind of like airplane type of humor in a way, which is fine to have jokes in a film, but all the characters have to take their universe seriously. If they don't take their universe seriously, then it doesn't hold together as a storyline in a way. So that's one of the problems. And you never see that in Marvel movies. There's always, the universe exists and there's jokes and stuff, but the universe kind of holds together. In this place, you kind of have the sense like maybe the universe doesn't hold together, at least as far as the logic. You have a scene where kids become heroes and part of the film, and then that becomes kind of corny because normally in Marvel comic books, it's never kids that are heroes. It's always like 16 older, like Spider-Man's the younger superhero. Everyone else is probably in their 20s. They're not 50 or something, but, they're 20 to 30 or something. That's the range of the superheroes. So it's kind of odd that they use little tiny kids as the heroes. It kind of converts into kind of a feel of a Frozen movie versus a superhero film in a way. It's a little nitpicking, but it just seems off. They have dialogue scenes, obviously, between the action sequences. They have downtime. They're falling in love or reminiscing, which is fine. You got to have those scenes to kind of stitch together the character in the background to all the characters. You have to develop the story that way. But I think some of those scenes just kind of come off flat or too long, or I don't know, they're just off somehow in the dialogue for me. I think they were well intended, but maybe just edited wrong. I'm not sure there. Maybe you could cut out 5-10 minutes there and take it close to the hour and a half that I like. CGI is top notch, but all Marvel movies since probably 2003 or 4 are top notch, right? Obviously everyone has a great computer CGI FX team, so that's not really saying much. You just expect it going in. They definitely deliver on that. There's a great tragedy with one of the main characters and the Thor universe dies off, so that's awesome because that adds a lot of tragedy to the story, similar to like a Black Panther where, the arch villain dies off and you're like, oh my god, or when Loki dies off in earlier Thor films, you're like, oh my god, not Loki, you gotta bring him back. So that's pretty interesting that they kill off one of the main characters, gonna add a lot of drama to that. I really like the sense they come full circle for the villain, from the beginning of the film to the very end of the film. It's like a really great character evolution for this character, because he becomes worse and worse over time, and then he has a slight redemption, kind of a Darth Vader scene at the end, so that's a really nice flip on his character. In the beginning, they also have kind of this transition from Guardians of the Galaxy to Thor. I think in earlier Marvel films, there was this handoff that the next movie is going to be Thor with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and so they have to kind of use that in the film. But if you're not going to use the Guardians of the Galaxy, you should just scrap it all together and just, you know, say like, hey, Thor dropped out of the Guardians of the Galaxy for whatever reason, and he's on his own, and then it starts off, because you really don't need the Guardians of the Galaxy to make this film make sense, except as far as staying continuous with that film. So we might be starting to begin to see these Marvel movies not really kind of come together, and they're kind of sprouting off on tangents, and they might run into some of the same issues that Disney ran into with Star Wars, where they go off on tangents and none of them kind of come together, like, you know, 7, 8, 9. Notoriously, Star Wars was terrible. It just didn't come together from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you had some other side plots and they're great, and then you have the 7, 8, 9, you're like, oh man, you just destroyed the end of Star Wars. But we don't have that, with just a little bit of kind of a weird feel to the characters of the Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor, which is fine. Each director is going to have their own taste. I think in this case, more of a feel of the director than maybe you want to see maybe in a film, which is kind of weird. You never want to not see a director's impact on a film, but in some cases when it's kind of a Marvel universe, you want that kind of a more of a cohesive feel, and you're going to have kind of Thor movies, and then this one's kind of stick a little bit out, I would say, as far as the feel versus other Thor movies. But it's still a fun film. Just weird politics in there for no reason, especially when it had nothing to do with the plot. If there had been lesbian lovers and they get separated and they get rejoined, and there was some key plot feature, it makes total sense, and then you can sell it to the public and hope it sells. But to have it just as a side plot that doesn't have anything to do with anything, it's just kind of saying like, hey, by the way, we're Hollywood, we're going to tell you what you should believe in. Like, bro, outside of LA and New York, no one thinks like that, you know, totally. So just a weird thing to throw into the plot. But anyway, I think I like it. Hope you guys like it. If you want to subscribe, you can subscribe below. And I'll see you in the next movie review. Thanks for watching, guys.